I never thought we would see the day where Trisha Paytas ends up in a headline with Michaela. I feel like they're both in such different categories on the internet, but because of Just Trish and Trisha and Oscar talking about hot topics, Michaela was brought up and she was not happy about it. It's a mess, so let's get into it. It's no secret that Michaela has been a very hot topic online lately. She just launched her brand POV Beauty, which more on that later this week. But she also came out last week and shared what exactly she's been dealing with lately. For the past few months, Michaela has been hinting at not being in the best headspace.
This has been me the last few days. I'm not in a good place. And I've just been rotting in bed and eating my feelings. I am not doing well. Life is just not sunshine and rainbows right now. If I came on here and told you I was excited about Christmas today, that would be a lie. And I don't want to do that. I'm very drained and a bit of an emotional wreck. But I had to get out of the house because I'm going insane. That's the thing. I made a valiant effort this year to make sure absolutely no one knew that this year has been the worst year of my life.
Since Michaela never said exactly what she was going through, her fans naturally were curious, especially since Michaela was posting so many videos about not being okay. There was a lot of speculation, but most of her fans' assumptions all tied back to Cody. Cody was no longer in her videos, she wasn't wearing her wedding ring, which led to people believing her and Cody were separated. Well, a few days ago, Michaela finally broke her silence and shared what's really been going on. She revealed that Cody had actually relapsed last year and was now living in rehab.
My husband Cody is in rehab, and I am ready to talk about it. Cody's story is not mine to share, but he has given me his blessing to talk about it today. As many of you have noticed, for the last several months, Cody really has not been around, and now you know why. A lot of you have put two and two together. Cody has struggled with addiction from a very young age, and I knew Cody was an addict when I met him. When I met him, he was living in sober living, and he had just gotten out of rehab. He moved from Nevada to Massachusetts to go to treatment here, and the only reason he stayed is because he met me.
She said that she's been dealing with this all throughout 2024. She finally had to kick him out back in December and get him his own apartment to live in, which led him to finally deciding to go to rehab last month.
January 2024, my husband relapsed on drugs. In April 2024, my husband relapsed on alcohol. 2024, I faced some of the scariest nights of my life. I'm talking calling the police because I'm scared my husband's gonna die. I felt like I had lost my husband. Sure, many of you remember I had a little bit of a mental breakdown in December. I watched his addiction worsen, and it became so hard in our home. And I had to make the really difficult decision to remove Cody from our home. He ended up getting his own apartment, and I said, you need to figure it out.
Now, at the end of the video, Michaela asked drama channels and Reddit to not treat her situation with Cody as tea.
There is one more thing I want to mention. If you're a drama channel or my Reddit fan club, addiction is not tea. I understand you make money off of talking about me, my life, whatever. People every day from addiction. And if you take the time to make up some stupid story or just sharing the news or whatever, there's a special place in hell for you. I just want you to know that. You are the scum of the earth. Period.
And I will say, for the most part, I think a lot of drama channels and news outlets have been very respectful of her wishes. Most reporting I've seen has been very kind and empathetic towards her situation, but there is one thing about Michaela's video that didn't quite sit well with some. As you guys know, Michaela just launched her own skincare brand, and at the start of the video about Cody going to rehab, she used her products and made sure the labels were perfectly turned towards the camera in clear view. Some people felt like her doing that took away from such a serious and personal topic and made the video feel more like a commercial. I'm sure Michaela knew a video on her finally addressing why she's been upset all these months and breaking her silence after so many vague videos and speculation would get a ton of views. She probably knew it would be great advertising for her brand, and as it stands now, the video has over 29 million views. There's been a few comments from people who feel like Michaela planned her announcement about Cody to line up with her launch. She had a lot of people worried about her. She kept making videos despite the speculation and only said something after launching her brand and made sure to use her products in it, knowing it would be a video that gets a lot of attention. Well, that theory is what ended up getting Trisha and Oscar in some drama with Michaela. During yesterday's Just Trish episode, Trisha and Oscar were talking about Michaela's situation with Cody, and Oscar brought up some of the negative backlash she's received over showcasing her brand in that video.
I did feel for her.
Yeah, me too.
I watched it. Yeah.
She talked about how Cody had to go to rehab. I sympathize. I like totally sympathize, and but it is the only off-putting thing was like waiting until you have the skincare line and then doing the get ready with me and then using your own products and then making sure the label of your products is front and center. Like it wasn't even like I could tell it was purposeful that the label of her products was literally like centered because it's like a spherical thing. It could be tilted a little bit, but she made sure the label was like not covered at all and like facing the camera.
Yes.
And it was so like right in my face. That's literally the first thing I noticed was like her using her own
like
products.
the Kardashians with McDonald's and stuff when it's like in your face, the product placement. That's interesting. I think lesson rule number 101, if you're trying to come across sincere, is like don't have any product, don't be promoting something, don't have it be sponsored.
Yeah.
I think that's usually a good rule of thumb. I know whenever I talk about something serious, it's like, let me make sure there's like nothing that could be like no merch. Like, okay, because I like when I wear my own merch, I'm like, let me take it off if it's something serious,
right?
Because
I think also because Michaela is someone who is very influencer. Like she is like a stereotypical influencer, So it would have been nice to have like a genuine like connection with her where it was like no other things
they
going
couldn't
on.
see the products in there.
Yeah, because she's known for taking opportunities to, hawk a product.
Yeah.
So to see her not hawk a product would have been
Okay.
even
I haven't seen that take.
And I just want to point out how it was actually Oscar bringing up the stuff about her using POV in that video to Trisha. Trisha knew nothing about the backlash that Michaela was getting. Oscar was the one being like, yeah, it kind of felt weird. A lot of people didn't like that part. And Trisha was going back and forth with whether or not she even agreed with the backlash. She was kind of like, yeah, well, I get it. Her thing is get ready with me's. And if she just launched the product and uses it every day, it does make sense.
Like if you were doing, responding to like the Colleen stuff, but then you were also be like, come see the airs of Trish. You know what I mean? Like
I'm wearing bubbly or something like that.
Yeah.
It's so hard because I guess if it's just there and you're just using the products all the time, I guess. And her thing is get ready with me. Yeah.
And even Moses was on Michaela's side. He was saying how her page has never really been about getting to know her on a personal level and how it's always been about selling something. So her putting POV in this personal story felt justified to him.
Yeah.
But I think she's always been a businesswoman and she never was like that influencer that you get to know like on a personal level.
I think people disagree. I think they think they know her.
She always been like, it's business, and I'm going to sell you something and I'm here to sell something.
But she talks about her personal life. Like,
but like, let's say, okay, she knows she has a big story. She's going to talk about him. It's going to get millions of views. I'm going to put my product in there. Like everything goes around, what am I selling today? And, is it a sponsored post? Is it my product? Is it?
That might be a hot take.
Oscar also felt like Michaela treated her video about Cody as this big gotcha moment.
She was a little bit like, screw. That's why like you hate her speculating on whatever. It was almost like a gotcha. It's like, oh, see, this is what you get for everyone who was like being nasty to me.
I see.
But she was also, she was the one making the TikToks on what
being sad
in bed.
Yeah.
No Cody next to her, eating the McDonald's, the crumble. Like she was the one making content around it. So there's some stuff where it wasn't the most genuine,
4 months, everyone was speculating on what could be going on, and Michaela would bring up how she didn't appreciate the speculation. But it's kind of like, well, if you're making countless videos about being upset, you're noticeably upset in them, it's only human nature for people to want to know what's going on. And if you aren't telling them, but still posting videos like that, that's when speculation comes into play.
If you do like troll a little bit too, then aren't you kind of inviting some of that in. That was like my only like pause. I was like, well, you did really go hard, making us all like think something was wrong, like you were getting a divorce or something.
I think more towards the end of the conversation, Trisha saw Oscar's side and could see where he was coming from with feeling weird about her promoting POV beauty in such a serious video. Trisha related it back to herself and said she would feel weird promoting her stuff if she was sitting down to discuss such a serious topic.
But yeah, it's like the equivalent of like YouTube videos. Like if you were sincere back in the day, you would say, "Oh, I turned monetization off." I feel like there is something wrong with product placement on like such a serious issue. You know what I mean? But if we're like getting a divorce and I'm like showing like if I'm drinking out of this, I'm like, so it's really sad. But I guess Moses like cheated on me and it. You know what I mean? Like it's like you don't really.
And the eras of Trish posters behind you.
Yeah, where's that? Get that one up here.
Well, Michaela saw Trisha and Oscar's take, and she was not happy. She went on her Instagram stories and posted a series of videos crying over what Trisha had to say. She said that she's been a huge fan of Trisha for as long as she can recall. She has tickets to Trisha's tour, and now she feels crushed and thinks Trisha doesn't like her.
Yo, my day just got ruined. Can I rant for like 2 seconds? Okay, I grew up a huge fan of Trisha Paytas. Like, huge fan, okay? I've been with Trisha since she started on YouTube. And I have tickets to see her show next week in Boston. And I'm like so excited. I just saw her take on my situation with Cody on her podcast. And it crushed my soul. It crushed my idol mega fan soul. And now I'm like, do I go to the show? I don't think she likes me. My hat's beating out of my fucking chest right now. I don't know what to do. Her take was obviously an opinion. Everyone has them. But the take sucked that they think that way. And, yeah, ruined my day.
Now, let me tell you guys how I saw this whole thing play out. Trisha ended up making a response video to Michaela, which we're going to get into in a little bit, but I actually saw that first and I was like, oh my god, what is going on here? What did I miss? I went to Michaela's Instagram, I watched her story, and I thought like, wow, Trisha must have had a pretty hot take on Michaela's video about Cody. I was thinking Trisha had to have said something pretty horrible to invoke such an intense reaction from Michaela, but as you guys saw earlier in this video, Trisha really didn't have that strong of an opinion. If anything, she was more on Michaela's side and only towards the end understood Oscar's point of view a little bit more. Apparently people started DMing Michaela and telling her Trisha really didn't say anything bad about her because she got back onto her story again and continued talking about the situation.
Okay, I'm reading my DMs. There seems to be a perspective that Oscar is the one who doesn't like me, and that Trisha was kind of just, you know, going along with the conversation. Why do I want to cry right now? I'm like really emotional over this situation. I don't know how to feel, bro. I liked Moses's, I liked his tidbits. I've had these tickets for months, guys. It's not like she's gonna give a me in the audience, but like it's just looking at like the thought of like looking at her and like knowing she don't like me.
One thing I found interesting was her saying that she liked Moses's take. To me, it felt like Moses was pretty much saying that Michaela is like this walking billboard and doesn't share stuff about her life just to share stuff. It's always with the intention of selling something, so for her to be like, yeah, I liked what Moses had to say, kind of tells you everything you need to know about Michaela.
I saw Trisha because I watched the podcast. That's the only take I've seen. And Rich, but that's it. So I don't know what people are saying, nor do I care. Because it doesn't affect me personally at all. Trisha affected me because I love her.
Now let's talk about Trisha's response. She saw Michaela's story, she felt really bad, and she made a TikTok being like, Michaela, I love you, I've always loved you, I've DM'd with you before, like, what is going on?
Real quick, I just saw Michaela's Instagram stories from like 3 hours ago. I've always been a Michaela fan. I've always had Michaela's back through every scandal, and I think I even said in the podcast, like, in the grand scheme of things, the stuff that Michaela gets canceled for is just like so unserious. Like, it's so unserious, right? Like, you think of all these men that we just like let pass for all like really serious shit, and you know, Michaela's cancellations are just not serious.
I personally wouldn't say the things that Macleod gets canceled for are so unserious. Is it true that girls online are typically held to a much higher standard than men making content? Yes, that's a thing and it sucks, but also that doesn't take away from the fact that what Macleod does is also bad. Pretty much every single ad she posts break FTC guidelines. She never discloses properly despite being told time and time again. She's lied to her audience so many times and never takes an ounce of accountability. She will say or do anything for a sponsorship, in my opinion. That's not unserious, that's deceptive, and just because there are creators out there who do worse things doesn't justify what Macleod does. That's like saying, oh, you can't be upset because people in the world have it worse off than you. It just doesn't make sense, and I really hate that take from Trisha, but let's continue.
I posted a TikTok this past Saturday when she made her TikTok about Cody's addiction and what she's had to deal with. And I was like shook. I never talk about hot topics on my TikTok. I always save it for my podcast because that's what it is. But I was so shook and I had so much compassion. And that was my first take. And then we talked about on hot topics, and there's always a discussion and discourse of different opinions that are out there. And I just, commented on a different perspective. And I was like, oh, okay, I could see where that could come across as this, this, and this. See Michaela crying over something that I have done or said makes me really, really sad. And if I can correct it, I will. And so sorry if you thought that I even contributed to any sort of pain, or if I did contribute, not even if you thought, if I did contribute to any kind of pain, you're crying because of something I said, and that is not who I am at all.
So Trisha was very apologetic towards Macleod. She offered for her to come sit backstage at her show.
I sincerely apologize that she had tickets to my show, which is so insane, girl. I will come hang backstage, come hang side stage, come hang anytime. I love you. I've been DMing you. I'm like, girl, come on my podcast, come, let's hang out.
She tagged Michaela in the video and said, I promise this is a sweet post that I hope you watch. She was overly nice when honestly, I personally don't think Trisha said anything that warranted the reaction Michaela had, and a lot of comments agreed. One person wrote, Trisha wasn't mean to Michaela at all. Oscar brought up the obvious product placement in her video, but he wasn't wrong. Now, your original take was right. She should have done a separate video from her skincare while her man struggles lonely nights in that facility. Your podcast clip was right before this. I definitely think she needs to rewatch it because I feel like you were sticking up for her. I didn't think your comments on the pod were offensive, but props to you for apologizing. Well, Michaela saw Trisha's original TikTok from a few days ago, and she responded in another Instagram story, and she still seemed to be very upset about the whole thing, despite Trisha being very sympathetic towards her.
Okay, a couple of you guys sent me a link to a TikTok that I did not see of Trisha talking about the situation, and she's very compassionate. I'm getting emotional. Sorry. It's really difficult when someone that you love and idolize has a negative opinion about you. I'm just saying. But anyways, the video on TikTok that you guys are sending me, she was very compassionate. So I think I should still go. I think I'll regret it if I don't.
I just don't get it. You guys know I'm not Trisha's biggest fan, but when I saw Michaela's reaction, I thought Trisha must have said something pretty bad. If anything, I feel like Trisha was trying to see the situation from both sides, and even if she did fully agree with Oscar, she wouldn't be wrong. If you're choosing to post all these TikToks over the course of a few months crying, saying that you're going through something, but never saying what that something is, of course people are going to start speculating. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Macleod owes anyone an explanation, but she's a smart girl. She knows how to get people talking, and she knew what she was doing, and dare I say, she knew what she was doing when she also used POV beauty in that video about Cody. At the end of the day, it's her right. She can turn whatever she wants to into a commercial on her own platform, and if her point of view is that there's nothing wrong with that, that's fine. But Oscar can also have his point of view and feel as though the product placement should have been left out of it. To get on Instagram stories and cry and make out like your idol let you down and hurt you because she simply didn't fully agree and co-sign your decision is delusional, and that is just my point of view. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about everything down below, and I'll see you next time.